up at noon. Wasting time is all I do. But now when I'm with you.
What's going on, everybody? This is BarberWinz, and welcome to the Overall Drip Experience podcast.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel
Subscribe
at BastienDRԻP TV, and follow at BarberWinz on Instagram, at BastienDRԻP on Instagram. It's BastienDRԻP, the flash in the city, aka the young intellectual. Today we have BarberWinz on the podcast. As you guys know, I like to get people on the show who inspire me and in turn will inspire you. BarberWinz built his clientele in Lawrence, New Hampshire, and even a bigger one in LA. From regular customers to celebrities, he's built his reputation up to the point in LA where he has consistent celebrity clientele. This is somebody I've known for a while, and he was even my barber at one point. He came all the way up here from LA to show love and come on the Overall Drip Experience podcast. Drip fam, I want you guys to give a warm welcome to BarberWinz. What's going on, brother, man?
My boy, appreciate you, man.
Alright, so let's get a little timeline going for the audience. Let's start from high school up into college, all the way up until now. Who was Winslow before he became BarberWinz?
Wow, man. That's a good question, man. Winslow, before he was even a barber, man, I was just into sports, man. Growing up, I played a lot of video games. In high school, I started thinking about my future a little bit more.
In high school? What high school did you go to?
I went to St. John's Prep. So I actually went to Lawrence Family Development Charter School.
Charter school?
Yeah, I went to a charter school.
Oh, you different, bro.
Yeah, man. I grew up going to private school. I was a straight A student my whole life, man. I'll tell you the truth, man.
Props to that,
Thank you, bro. I never skipped a day of school in my life, bro.
Respect.
Never, even through college, man. So I was at LFDCS. I went to St. John's Prep, and then I went to the University of New Hampshire where I studied marketing there, man.
And I did a little bit of research on you, obviously. You know, you're on my show.
Right,
and
I appreciate you.
You built a really big clientele. You built a really big clientele on the campus. How did you go about doing that?
Man, it's a funny story, man, because the first clipper I ever had was a Norelco beard trimmer, and I noticed that there was numbers on it. I didn't really think about me being a barber at this point. I just thought about myself keeping myself groomed, because in college I wanted girls to like me, so I wanted to be groomed all the time. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, yo, I got numbers on this. I'm gonna start telling people that I can cut hair. I didn't know how to do a damn squat about nothing, bro. So I was telling people, yo, I'm the nastiest barber on campus. Never cut one hair in my life, bro.
So you went around telling people word of mouth. You were like, I'm the best barber, I'm the best barber, and this was all for women. This
is for the clientele, not for the women, yeah. My barber clippers was for the women, bro.
Your barber clippers are for the women?
I mean, my barber clipper was for myself, to groom myself so I can look good for the women.
For the women, okay.
But me going around walking to people so I can make some money in college, because as a college student, you don't make any money, bro. You're just studying and spending money. You're relying on your mom and pops to give you the money. Yo, pops, I need some money to go to school. All right, here you go, boom. But I wanted to be an independent individual at that point. And so I was just trying to figure out a way on how to make money myself.
Okay.
So I used my Norelco clippers to be like, yo, I know how to cut hair. And people would say, oh, can I get a 2.5 and a 3.5? I'm like, bro, I don't know any of that. I could just give you a 1 or 2. You know what I mean? Like, do one or the other, bro. You know what I mean? So I just took it from there, man. But then I called my barber from Lawrence, who I started with him when he started. And I was like, yo, bro, I need some clippers, man. You have any? And thank God, there's a lot of people that aren't willing to help out other individuals. But this guy he just said, yo, come pick it up. So I drove an hour from Durham, New Hampshire, all the way down to Lawrence to pick up these clippers. And when I went back onto campus, I was just like, yo, I got clippers for real now.
Dedication.
So I started posting that I knew how to cut hair. So what I would end up doing is taking Google pictures and put them on my Instagram page and stuff, and saying like, yo, this is me, you know what I mean? But it wasn't really me, but it just went to go show that you know, I was dedicated from the beginning.
For sure, and you could literally be, that just shows me as well, that you can literally be anybody on the internet.
Yeah, you can be anybody on the internet.
And you could like fool your way into clientele, like you just said. So when you were cutting the people's hair like on campus, what about that made you, how did that make you feel? How did you know that like barbering was for you? And at what age did you realize that you wanted to be a barber?
I'll tell you the truth, man. I didn't really realize that I wanted to be a barber at that point in time. I really started realizing that barbering was becoming more part of my life when I was going to school, when I was going to classes, should I say, and I wasn't paying attention. I started, instead of me paying attention to the professor talking, I would be on my phone watching YouTube videos on how to cut hair with my headphones and my speakers. I'd be going like this so that the teacher wouldn't see me, acting like I couldn't see anything, but I had my phone right here, my headphones on, and I'd just be looking at the video, bro.
So you felt like you cultivated the passion over time. So as you were going, you felt like the passion was cultivated.
Right. So it was cultivated. First of all, it was just about money for me. I was just wanting to make a few bucks. I wanted to be able to buy my food, and that's it. You know what I mean? But then over time, I started realizing that, yo, this is really what I want to do in my life.
Okay, so we're in college. All right, so let's go after college. So you were in college. You got your clientele. You had the business, and then you graduated. What happened next?
All right. So before we even go to after graduation, I'm gonna start from college and how it all started. I had an opportunity to work at a barbershop in 2011.
Okay.
And this individual named William Ramirez, he was like, yo, I'm a firm believer in giving people chances, and so I'm willing to give you a chance, but I had to talk my way into working there.
Okay.
He didn't believe that I knew how to cut hair, and I really didn't know how to cut hair, but I knew how to cut hair somewhat. So in 2011, December of 2011, he was like, yo, come work. I had 2 weeks of vacation that time, and I was like, let's get it. And my first client, should I say, he came in, super long hair. I had butterflies in my stomach. I had 2 weeks in this barbershop without cutting nobody's hair.
Damn.
And
so you were just basically just watching.
I just watching.
So you were a spectator.
Yeah, I was a spectator for 2 weeks. My mom every single day would tell me, Wenzel, why don't you go find another job? I'm like, Mom, all good things come once you wait. So after 2 weeks, my first client came in, boom, I cut his hair, and that's when I started realizing, like, yo, this is what I want to do. Now, I'm going to fast forward to you a couple years later, 2014. He called
So we're going 3 years later.
We're going 3 years later.
Okay.
We're going 3 years later into the future. He gives me a call. Hey, Wenzel, barbershop's about to close down. I know that you really love doing this. I'll keep the shop open if you are willing to take over for it. And I said, yo, you know what? I don't want to be. I'm about to graduate now, and I don't really want to cut hair anymore.
Okay.
So he ended up closing the shop. But little behold, after I graduated college, a few jobs came through. I got the jobs, but I didn't take them because I didn't feel comfortable taking them. And so I ended up going back to cutting hair. And that's when I was like, man, if I would have had that shop in 2014, 2015, I would have been fine. But then my father in 2015 told me, yo, you need a real job. And at this point, I'm making about $500 a week. He goes, oh, that's not enough money for you to live life. And I'm like, yeah, that's enough money for me because I ain't paying no rent. I ain't paying no bills, bro. I'm doing my thing. I got a 6-month grace period because I already graduated college. And I started working for this company called Data Electronic Devices in Salem, New Hampshire. And at this point in time, that job was so overwhelming, man, that I didn't even want to cut hair no more. So I just worked there the whole time, getting paid $11 an hour. And for some people, it's like, wow, you were getting paid $11. But for me, my lifestyle that I wanted to live, it wasn't enough for me.
So you felt like you were stuck, kind of?
I felt I was stuck, yeah. So I went in one day and I told them I'm leaving, and they told me, hey, you're too much of an asset for this company for us to just let you go. We're going to do something that we've never done before in this company's history, and we're going to give you a raise. A dollar raise at that, because at this point in time, they only give like a 10% raise or a 10-cent raise. So I got a huge raise, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get $12 now, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, I'm making more money than I do at the barbershop. After taxes and everything taken out, I was only making $345 a week.
So you were making less at that job than you were making as a barber.
Right.
Okay.
But in 11 months of me being at this company, I knew how to do everything. So then I got a call by the NFL, and they're like, yo, Winslow, we want you to come work for us. And
I'm the NFL?
The NFL. I was a light engineer for the NFL because at Data Electronic Devices, I was creating the electronic boards to power up the light sources to
The NFL, like the football.
Yes, sir.
Like
football,
the Odell Beckham.
Peyton Manning, Tom Brady.
Like the Odell Beckham.
All
right.
Yeah, man. So I got this call, man, and they're like, "Yo, we're gonna send everything for you. We're gonna give you this amount of money." I'm just like, "What?"
And you were all right. So you were in Lawrence still.
I was still in Lawrence.
You were still in Lawrence, and this was the year of 2014.
This is 2015 now.
2015. So you're into 2015 now.
Yeah, so
okay.
the year that I started doing all this stuff was 2014, 2015 after I graduated college. So I got this opportunity. They told me I'm going to get this amount of money. I'm like, I can't pass this up.
Exactly, yeah.
So, so I took the job and I was flying to a whole bunch of different stadiums and I was getting paid... I was getting paid $5,000 every 2 days, pretty much, to do all this money. So I was able to buy my own house, and at this point, I was like, "Yo, I'm all set. I don't want to do this no more." I got taken off the list to go work for the NFL, so I just went back to cutting hair again. So I'm like, "Oh, I can always find this as a."
So you got taken off the list because you decided that you didn't want to do it.
Not because I did. It's just because there was no work at the time. We had already done a lot of the stadiums, and there was no more work at the moment. A lot of the stadiums at this point in time were switching from halogen lamps over to LED lighting.
Okay.
So we already converted almost all the stadiums to LED lights. So there was nothing else for us to do. All we had to do was little maintenance jobs, but we had people who were a lot longer in the company doing these jobs. So they're like, "Yo, you new guys, we're just gonna let you guys go." We don't really need you. Yeah, basically. So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm still gonna go back to cutting hair because I'm always gonna make money with this. It was a side job for me.
So when you went back to cutting hair, did your clientele from New Hampshire follow you over, or did you have to build a new base when you got here?
So my clientele from my New Hampshire college, I actually had people from Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, Boston, Lawrence, all the way down to Miami and Florida, and they all followed me. I would have people that wouldn't get a cut for a whole year waiting for me to cut their hair.
That's amazing.
And that's when I started telling myself, like, yo, this is something that I want to do, bro. And
why do you think that is, though? Like, so, like, out of all the barbers there are in this world, why do you think they waited, or why do you think every single person just about followed you wherever you went? What do you think makes you different?
I just think it's the experience. I'm always I can never settle for less, man. And I think it's the experience that I bring to a barber shop. I'm an individual that I'm about my job, you know. And you can tell the people who are about their money. You can tell about the people who love what they do. And it's something, barbering is something that I love to do. I don't do it because I want to. I don't do it because I'm trying to make some money.
So
to pay my bills.
It's fueled by passion, not by money.
Passion, yeah. It's by passion. And I don't have to, and I love to do this every single day of the week. I'm busy 24/7 now. Like, I barely even have time to come back to Lawrence because I have so much clientele flying me out to different states now.
But you stopped by the Overall Drip Experience podcast.
But I always stop by to show love to my people back home.
Show love to the fam.
I always show love to my fan because at the end of the day, no matter how much money I'm making, no matter how many celebrities I cut, I will never switch up who I am as an individual. I've always remained a humble individual. I don't care about anything else, but I will always show love to my city, and I will always show love to my people who helped supported me from the beginning. And I hope that people continue to progress with me and follow me on Instagram and see my journey and just see my growth.
I respect that. So I know that anybody can be a regular barber, but do you personally believe that anybody can be a celebrity barber?
Being a celebrity barber is something that you're willing to sacrifice your free time to do. There are times, you see me when I was at my peak. I was a wrestler throughout college, and I had a nice physique at the point in time. And as your demand goes up, you stop. It's not that you stop, but it takes up a lot of your time.
Up a lot of your free time.
It takes up a lot of your free time, man. So if you're willing to sacrifice that free time to be on the call 24/7 and get your name out there, then it's something that you can accomplish. But if you're not willing to give that free time, partying at the clubs and going to strip clubs, if you do that, just spending money,
hanging out with people that are not benefiting.
Hanging out with people that aren't benefiting you, then being a celebrity barber is a very tough thing to accomplish, man.
So we're in 2015 now, right?
Yeah.
So let's fast forward into 2018. That's when you moved, or 2019. That's when you moved to LA. What year did you move to LA?
Alright, so I moved to LA. My decision came in December of 2018.
So 2018.
I moved in January 7th, 2019.
So when you got to LA and you landed, how did you go about making a living, bro?
Alright, man. So funny story. Funny story. Alright, so when I made the decision to move to LA, I didn't just make the decision that I'm gonna leave. The decision was made after I had talked to my investor. He's a business partner of mine and one of my best friends who played on the UNH basketball team, Pat Conan.
Shout out Pat Conan.
Shout out Pat Conan, man. You're my boy, bro. But so like, what happened during this time, something that I told myself when I was 8 years old was, when I get old enough to make, when I'm old enough and I'm making enough money, I want to move to a warmer climate.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I want to move to Miami. He goes, why do you want to move to Miami? And I said, because it's warm over there. And he goes, bro, there's no money in Miami, bro. I'm like, what you mean? He goes, if I were you and I didn't have my family going on
I'd
right
go
now,
to LA.
I would go to LA. And I'm like, why would you go to LA? Because LA can financially be well off by itself. Its economy in that state of California, if we break California off the map right now, it can withstand by itself. It doesn't need the other 49 states of the U.S.
There's a lot of risk, though. A lot of risk.
There's a lot of risk when you leave your family. But
sure.
At the end of the day, the risks always pay off.
I can see that.
If you plan accordingly and you take the right steps and precautions to the next level, man.
So, how did you feel when you landed your first celebrity barber? And
Wow.
actually, a better question yet, my fault to cut you off, but how did you go about getting your first job as a barber? Let's start there.
All right. So I'm going to answer both your questions, and it happened within 3 months.
3 months.
3 months. It actually happened the first weekend that I was there.
Weekend.
Commendable.
Commendable.
There's a site called barbershopconnect.com. I had posted a few posts on my Instagram, and I tagged a lot of people in LA. And barbershopconnect.com reached out to me and told me, hit up Vince the Barber. He's a celebrity barber for the Toronto Raptors, Damian Lillard, and a whole bunch of other big-time celebrities. And he reached out to me. And I was like, this guy reached out to me, bro. This is crazy, man. And he goes, I seen your Instagram, and you're the type of person that I want in my barbershop. And so this dude is also, if you guys have checked out The Shop, which is LeBron James' show on YouTube, you'll see him on there. He's one of the barbers that cuts LeBron's hair. And so I was like, this guy's hitting me up. So I started telling my whole family, like, I got this guy hitting me up, man. And so, like, I knew the dream was coming to fruition.
Yep.
So I was like, this is crazy, man. So I called my brother. My brother's like, this is the right steps, man. And I'm like, yeah. But it took me 120 miles of walking. I had I went to LA with $11,000.
Okay.
That $11,000 went out my pocket in 3 days. And you're gonna ask, you must have partied, huh? I didn't party. The reason why I went away in 3 days is because I found out that my barber's license in Massachusetts wouldn't transfer over to LA or California.
So you have to get a new one.
So I had to get a new one. So I had to enroll in barber college.
Wow.
Not only that, so I had to redo barber course. So not only that, I also had to pay for an apartment because
you have to live.
I'm not gonna live in the streets. You know
exactly.
What I'm saying? So, about my journey going into LA, I ended up finding this individual through Tinder, and I was like,
shout out Tinder.
Shout out to Tinder. So I was like, I seen this chick, and I was like, what's good? I'm like, I need I need a place to stay at. And she was like, God bless her. She was like, come stay with me. So I ended up staying with her. Unfortunately, things didn't work out between us. But by that time, I already had networked with a whole bunch of people in LA, and I talked my way into getting an apartment for $600 a month.
Oh wow!
So I was like, I can't pass this up.
For sure.
So from there on out, that's when I started laying myself out, man. I started from square one. I had no car. I was taking bus and train transportation and Ubers. I was spending $1,000 a month in Ubers and stuff. And I was like, I can't live like this. This is a car payment, man. So 120 miles, more than $3,000 a month of spending money that I didn't have. And 24 barbershops later, I landed in this barbershop that I felt super comfortable to be in South Central.
Okay.
And from here on out, it took literally 3 months for me to get my first celebrity clientele. And my first celebrity clientele, March 2nd of 2019 was Boombox Cartel.
Boombox Cartel.
So for those of you guys who know the EDM scene, Boombox Cartel, he's been my client ever since then. And I travel with them all the time, and it's just a crazy environment. That EDM scene is awesome.
So why do you think people are so comfortable, seeing as you're a new barber to a barbershop, why do you think they're so comfortable coming to you? What do you think about your craft? What do you think it is about your craft that makes them feel that comfortable?
So I think it's just that I'm an easygoing individual. I'm not pushy about everything, man. Like when I talk to you,
and your work speaks for itself.
And my work speaks for itself, but I'm not pushing to sell you something. I'm just pushing to know who you are as an individual. And I don't want to give you guys too much of my key things of why I'm so successful. But I will tell you that I stopped trying to aim for the money, and I started imagining myself as a client in a barber chair, and what experience would I want to come to me.
Exactly.
A lot of barbershops I'm 27 years old. A lot of barbershops that I've been to, people just cut your hair. There's no conversation. My barber's yelling over at the other barber. I'm like, yo, my man, cut my hair, bro. What's up with you, bro? You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people have gone through that. And so I was like, I don't want that to happen with me. I want my experience at a barbershop. If I'm going to pay $20, I want it to be well spent $20.
Exactly.
So I started thinking to myself, what kind of conversations does someone want to listen to? What kind of conversations do people want to talk about? Usually people, when they go to a barber, or women go to a hair salon, they talk about, oh my God, my man is so crazy, or a guy goes, yo, my girl's so crazy. And you just need to get some stuff off the chest that you can't really get off.
So you need to build a relationship with the person in the chair.
Build a relationship with the person in the chair is key. Number one to being a successful barber. If you can't build a relationship with a barber, I don't care how good your skills are,
they're never gonna come back.
They will never come back.
I agree with that. It's like you don't want somebody touching your hair, touching anything, your nails, anything, if you don't have a relationship with them. That's kind of weird, especially touching just your body in general. Right. But how does the clientele differ? So like, you were obviously started off in Lawrence, went to New Hampshire, but let's talk about Lawrence and let's talk about LA. How did the clientele differ? How did your clients differ in the chair? How did they differ in personality? How was it different?
All right, so Lawrence has Dominican, Puerto Rican clientele. It has a whole bunch of Guatemalans, Mexicans as well, but those weren't the clients that I catered to in Lawrence. My clientele, I'm gonna tell you this, that the haircut that I hated doing the most was a low fade. But for some reason, I did a low fade on one person, and then that one person told everybody in Lawrence, and now I'm doing blowouts and low fades. And I've always told myself when I first started cutting hair, I would never get into that. When I move over to LA, I'm thinking I'm gonna do the same thing. But in LA, the clientele aren't Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. They're now Mexicans and Guatemalans and Ecuadorians and Hondurans. So the hairstyle just switched up. So I'm gonna be honest with you, the first month was a little difficult for me over there because I couldn't fade the same way I would fade you or fade anybody else in Lawrence.
So you had to adapt.
I had to learn all new techniques. I had to learn clipper over comb. I had to learn scissor techniques. I had to learn all these different hairstyles. I had to learn what a crop style haircut was. Like, I didn't even know what the heck this was. It's all European hairstyles that people with straight hair wanted to do in the West Coast. And so what I would do is I went back to square one. I wasn't school, but they weren't teaching me anything that I didn't know. Exactly. So I had to go onto YouTube and look at what a European crop style haircut was.
So you took the initiative yourself, and you went on YouTube and you learned it yourself.
I learned it myself.
Wow.
I went back to my square one roots from college when I was instead of listening to my professor, I was looking at my videos. So I started just learning by myself.
You went back to the basics, basically.
Went back to the basics. You can never forget about the basics, man.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So me just going back to square one just allowed my mind to stay focused. So I had girls throwing themselves at me at this point, but me moving to the other part of the country by myself with no family, no friends, nobody, not even transportation, I didn't care about girls. People were like, yo, you're kind of weird, bro. I'm just like, nah, bro. It ain't about
You're
being
here to
weird.
hustle, basically.
I'm here to hustle, bro. And the reason why a lot of people go to the West Coast, try it out, and end up coming back within 3 months is because their mindset is, I'm gonna spend money, I'm gonna get everything's gonna come easy to me, and so forth. And when they realize that, yo, it's not that easy, they end up coming back. Oh, I miss my family is the number one excuse that everybody says.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, I miss my friends. Nah, you just didn't want it enough at the end of the day. And I wanted it enough that I told my father when I left here that the reason why I'm going out to LA, you guys are gonna be happy in the future.
For sure, you're working for them.
I'm doing this for you guys. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, anything I do is for my mom and my family. They grew up. I grew up good because my mom worked a whole bunch of jobs. My father worked, my brother worked, my older brother worked, and I just want to be able to give back to them now. And
pay it back.
And I want to pay them back, and I'm almost at that point where I can, but I'm not there yet. But I do give back when I can.
So that's cool. So let's change the conversation over to mindset. What kind of mindset do you believe a celebrity barber has to have to transpire the life they want to have? And if you could give your younger self some advice that from the things that you know now, what would you tell your younger self?
Be consistent with your work is number one.
Stay consistent.
Staying consistent is key. Staying consistent is key. Also, if I could go back in time and if I had the intellectuality that I have today, I think my money would be so much more far ahead. I made some mistakes after college in 2016, and if I didn't make those mistakes, it wouldn't be who I am today, but at the same time, it made me a stronger individual. So consistency, it's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to step out of your comfort zone. If you don't step out of your comfort zone, then you will never be able to grow as an individual.
I believe that. And the thing that you didn't mention, but I feel like is overlooked, is patience. I feel like patience is huge. Yeah. Everybody wants to be famous now. Everybody wants to make money now. Everybody wants the girls now. But it's like, you need to be patient and you need to wait your turn to get what you desire in life, basically. So my question is, why do you feel like patience is overlooked? Why do you feel like that is?
What a lot of people don't know is I've been doing this for 10 years now. When I moved out to LA, in the first 7 months, I finally got the call to move up to Hollywood. It's just overlooked just because you see a lot of people nowadays just getting famous right off the bat. Oh, so-and-so just got famous overnight. But it's not necessarily that they got famous overnight. They've been working at this craft for a long time, and they just finally got the big break. A big person that I like to talk about is Kevin Hart. A lot of people think that Kevin Hart just all of a sudden just came out the blue. But Kevin Hart's been doing videos and comedy since the 90s. And nobody knew who he was at that time. He was been in music videos. If you look back into the old school hip-hop music videos, he was in all of them. But nobody knew who he was.
He was also in movies, too.
He was also in movies. Then he got his first big break with Soul Plane. But in 2010, he got his biggest break with Can't Feel My Pain or something like that. And he sold out the Staples Center. And it's just like, yo, this dude is a comedian selling out the Staples Center. But it's taking him 15 years to get to that level.
But people don't see that. They look past that. They don't even see it.
They don't even see
They
the
think,
struggle.
oh, he just was funny one day and boom. Because there is, don't get me wrong, there is artists that do blow up overnight.
Right.
There's the little yachties.
Right.
And I feel like the thing that kids or the youth get confused is that not everybody's going to be a little yachty. Like, things actually take time. Things actually take patience. Little Yachty, yes, he had a hit. He came up, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's really rare. You're not going to really see that. That's not normal. What I like to preach on this podcast is consistency, self-confidence, and patience.
Word up, man.
Patience, in my opinion, out of them all, is the most important because you can be consistent, but if you're not patient, it's not going to work. You could be as consistent as you want, but if you're not waiting for your turn, you're trying to rush your process. Trusting the process is the most important thing you could ever do in life. Because your time is going to come when it's your call. If it's not your call, bro, it's not your time. It's not going to work, regardless of how good you are. So what I advise you guys to do is be consistent, have confidence, and most importantly, guys, I want you guys to be patient. Be patient and wait your turn. God has a calling for everybody.
just be patient.
Big facts, man. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this meme on Instagram. It's two guys digging holes, and one of them is so close to the diamonds, but he just stops.
Oh, I've seen that, for sure.
Because he's like, yo, I don't see it. But then the other guy is almost there, and he actually gets to it, and it's just like, yo, you gotta be patient. It's just preaching what you just said.
And to add on to that, the guy that gave up, he had the biggest diamond. He had a bigger diamond than the other guy.
Yeah.
All he needed to do was work a couple extra days, a couple extra months to get to that big diamond. But he gave up right before his time came.
Yep.
It's all because of a lack of patience.
Yep. Yep.
This next question, bro, is a question I love to ask all my guests. I love this question. And the question is, what was your greatest failure? And when I ask this question, it's not what was your greatest loss, L as in loss, it's what was your greatest L as in lesson. So what was your greatest lesson that you think about that helps you till this day to keep going forward, to keep pushing?
My greatest failure throughout my career has been not asking the client what he wants.
So you just basically would get a client and you'll just assume.
I just assume.
You'll assume, yo, this person wants a fade by just looking at their face.
Yeah. I just. This was in the beginning. This was when I first started. I would just assume, yo, this dude wants this. Wouldn't even ask and be like, yo, this dude would be upset. And I'm just like, I mean, I did a great job, but this person would be upset. I don't know why. So what I started learning is ask the individual what they want. So now when you're a new client, I have over 20 new clients every week, and I'm booked up 3 weeks, a month in advance. And I tell people, I ask people 5 times, what do you want? A lot of people, when they come into my chair, they think they know what they want, but when they sit down, they're like, I don't really know. So what I say is, show me some pictures. If you don't have pictures, we'll go through some stuff. When I'm talking to you as an individual now, I'm not just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do a blowout on you. I have over thousands of images in my head processing. When you first sit in my chair, I'm asking you, what do you do for work? Because a haircut is not, for me now, it's not just a haircut. A haircut has to match what job description you do.
Okay.
If you're a businessman, I'm not gonna give you a fade with designs on your hair, because now when you go to a business meeting, people are gonna look at you weird. Exactly. What I'm thinking to you is a professional business men's cut. Also, I'm thinking about your facial hair, thinking about the bald spots on your face. I'm thinking about all these things. And so when I get new clients, these 20 new clients that come to me, they'll tell me, yo, this is what I want, but to tell you the truth, I don't really know what I want, and I know you're an expert at this, just do whatever you want. And 10 out of 10 times, everybody loves what they do, what I do to them, because I make people look good. I have this passion for it. They feel comfortable with me even though they don't know me, and that's it. So one of my biggest failures was not asking the individual client, what do you want for a haircut? And I've learned from my mistakes, because I had one time, I had this dude sit in my chair, and people in Lawrence love getting the eyebrows done. And this dude was straight from Dominican Republic, and he had a unibrow. And I'm just like, bro, you gotta cut that off. So I just assumed I'm about to cut it. Wow. And when I went to go touch it, he screamed at me. And he got off the chair. He's like, yo, what are you doing? Don't be touching my eyebrows. I'm like, bro, you need to cut that off. But he's like, don't touch my eyebrows. I like that. I'm just like, my bad.
It's a part of him.
So being a part of somebody is their identity. So that's when I started realizing, yo, I can't just be assuming things anymore.
Exactly.
I gotta start asking people what they really want.
And you can never go wrong with that either, because it's like when they sit down, some people don't know what they want, like you said, but if you ask, there's no harm, no foul.
There's no harm. And so, like I said, I ask you 5 times now, because if I ask you one time and you say, yeah, I want a little fade, and I ask you again, you sure? And you say, yeah, and I say, you sure? Yeah. You sure? Yeah. And I ask you a 5th time and you say, yeah, 5 times, you can't blame me anymore.
Exactly.
For your 5 yeses. So that's why I make sure that 5 times is a magic number for me.
That's dope. So what do you struggle with now?
Struggle with now?
And I want you to be honest. Don't give me a crazy version. Just be honest, bro.
Some things that I struggle with is, I mean, I live in LA, man, so a lot of people want to have painted beards, painted hairlines. And I can do that stuff, but that's not my favorite thing to do. I can do it, but I don't like doing it because to me, I don't know how to take great pictures with it to make it look like you don't have it. I don't know how to use computer software to edit pictures. Another thing I want people to understand is that a lot of pictures are edited nowadays. So I provide a natural look to your haircut. So when you go on my Instagram, I don't have painted beards. I don't have none of that because I don't do that stuff. My pictures are all raw. I'll probably add some filters, but it's nothing that's gonna take away from the haircut. I mostly filter out the background so that it focuses more on the haircut.
Okay.
So one thing that I struggle with is photography and just putting in some, just hair products that people want to have for pictures and stuff. And coloring, hair coloring. A lot of people want hair coloring in LA, and I don't provide that service. I'm trying to learn. I got 4 more months of barber school to go out there, and I'm learning the process. So that's something that I want to get into.
So you're doing all this while you're in barber school? I thought you were finished.
No, I had to do a 2-year apprenticeship course
Oh,
over there.
wow.
So while I'm only going to school every Monday, and I get to cut hair every other day of the week. But I have to stay in the barber shop for at least 40 hours. I can't go over 40 hours, and I can't work. I could work from 32 to 40 hours. Can't go over.
So you went from Lawrence, obviously, and now you're in LA. What do you think is stopping the barbers in Lawrence from taking that next step?
Once again, man, I just think that the biggest hurdle in life is just leaving the family.
So you think you need to leave to get that growth that you actually desire?
So one of my influences in why I left Lawrence and headed out to LA is Jordan Lucas. There was this big quote, Jordan Lucas. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the biggest. I don't even think he's upcoming anymore.
Nah, he's not upcoming.
His name is out there, man.
He's everywhere, bro.
But this dude is from Worcester, Massachusetts. And one of the biggest things he said is when he moved from Worcester to LA, he was able to make an album with Chris Brown, make tracks with Eminem, and just blow up in the music scene. But he said that there's a lot of talent in Lawrence. There's a lot of talent in Massachusetts in general, but we are overlooked all the time. I'm not talking about barbering. I'm talking about rapping. I'm talking about artistry. I'm talking about dancing. I'm talking about choreography, everything. We have a lot of talent out here, but we're overlooked in the industry.
Why do you think that is, though?
I think it's just networking. I think one of the things that Lawrence has not Lawrence, just Massachusetts in general has problems with is that we're too greedy with ourselves. Everybody thinks that they're better than the other individual, and we have to stop that. If we support each other, I think our name will be out there a lot more, man.
So you think it's something I love to preach on this podcast as well. It's support. So you think it's the reason why not only Lawrence is struggling, but Massachusetts in general is struggling is because of the lack of support.
It's the lack of support. Us as other people, we're always struggling. We're always competing with each other. And we're not talking about competitively now. I'm older now. I'm able to go to the club scene. What I see people do in the club scene is, I'm gonna buy this Gucci attire so I can impress this guy. Like, why are you trying to impress this other individual who doesn't care about you? Instead, why don't you take that money that you're getting
and invest it in
yourself?
Sure.
Worry about yourself before you worry about anybody else. And this is gonna lead to my next thing about people say, why is Wenzel able to go out to LA and do his thing when there's so much competition out there? But my thing is, I don't have competition, because I'm my own competition.
Sure.
I'm focusing on myself. I don't care what you do, what that person does, or what that other barber does. I care about what I do. And as long as you have a great experience with me, I know that you're going to come back to me 100% of the time.
You're worried about your own self-development,
I'm worried about my own self. That's it. Self-development. If you can't, like they say, if you don't know how to love yourself, how are you able to love somebody else? I know people who are jumping from relationships to relationships trying to find their inner person, but how are you going to find that inner person? By being with somebody else. Get out of your comfort zone, be by yourself, go to nature. I love doing nature walks, man, because
it's a way to clear your head.
It's a way to clear my head. I work so much, I talk so much all day long, and I just need to, sometimes I'm back in Massachusetts visiting my family. I'm only coming here one time a year. you know, and it hurts me sometimes. I got my birthday. How many people chill with me on my birthday, bro? Nobody. You know what I'm saying? I got Thanksgiving. How many people do I eat with at Thanksgiving dinner now that I'm in LA? Nobody. How many people at Christmas Day? There's no Christmas in LA because it doesn't snow. You know?
Damn.
So like it's just there is Halloween. All these holidays is just like, man, I look at Instagram, I see videos, my family sends me pictures. I'm like, damn, I miss my family, but I gotta stay true to myself. I gotta keep focusing on my goal, and until I get to my goal and achieve them, I can't stop.
So what's your overall goal with your barbering career? So when you think about BarberWinz, when you think about yourself, where do you see yourself? What's your goal? What would you have to accomplish to say to yourself that you made it?
In my mind, I'll make it when I continue, when I'm getting my barbershops open, man. Honestly, I've done a lot in the industry that whether people have noticed or haven't noticed, but I've done a lot of things in the industry that have developed me as a character, and I think that I stepped out of my comfort zone by traveling to places voluntarily to learn new techniques. I brought new techniques to Lawrence before everybody that's doing it now was doing it. At one point, I was charging probably the highest in Lawrence before I left, and yeah, I just wanted to continue to grow in different areas and just continue.
So you want to open up barbershops?
I want to open up barbershops.
Where exactly? So you want to open up in Boston?
So I got 3 different areas that I'm looking at right now. I can open up my shop in Lawrence. I want to open up my shop in LA, and I want to open up my shop in Miami. A lot of people now are gonna ask me, why don't you say New York? You have a lot of Dominican, Puerto Rican clients in New York. I'm not a New York guy. I don't like New York. I travel to New York all the time. I don't like New York. I only go to visit my family in Queens. I got people in the Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, you know. But New York is not my scenery. But Miami, I cut a lot of clients down there. I cut people in LA. I cut people in Texas. I cut people in Boston and Lawrence. And I feel that this is where my calling needs to be. In these 3 locations.
So, I go to LA. I need a haircut. How would I go about? Since you're booked all the time, you know you're always booked. You always have clientele. You even have celebrity clientele. How would I go about booking you? What would be the process? What do I need to do?
So number one thing I tell everybody, if you don't see a booking, I on my Instagram I try and make booking with me as easy as possible. What I try and do is I have a booking tab through Booksy. I pay $30 a month for this ad, and people just book me all the time through there. But on Instagram, I have a booking tab. If you don't find a spot that fits your schedule, because you don't gotta text me anymore. You don't have. I have over 250 messages. I have over 300 missed calls on my phone, and I don't have time to be answering everybody.
Exactly.
So what I try and make it as convenient as possible. I take cash. I take PayPal. I take Cash App. I take Venmo. I take Zelle if you have Bank of America or Chase or anything else. I try and make you coming to me easy. And if you don't find a time, if you don't find the price or something, just give me a DM or send me a text message, and when I have time to come back at you, I will make sure that I attend to you. I attend all my people. The ones that I don't answer, those are people that, you know, they already know what the drill is and they don't want to follow the rules. Then it is what it is, you know. But at the end of the day, I try to get to as many as everybody that I can, and try and make it. If you don't see a time, I'll personally wake up early just to make your experience with me that much better. So if you need a haircut at 6 in the morning because your flight is at 9, I'll wake up at 6 in the morning. I'll charge you a little bit more for it, but I got you, you know? And those times aren't on my list. I start every day at 11 o'clock, and my schedule goes to 8 because that's my barbershop times. But from 8 to 3 in the morning, I do house calls, and those are a lot more expensive. But if you want to go outside of my 11 to 8 slot, I'm going to charge you more for that. Just because it's convenience for you, inconvenience for me, but I'm willing to give you the overall experience of BarberWinz.
So you're willing to sacrifice your sleep, your well-being, just for the satisfaction of your customer.
Just for the satisfaction of my customers, because I love every single one of you guys. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Dope.
And that's coming straight from my heart, man.
That's dope. So let's change the conversation. So a big part of why I do this is for the youth. So let's change the conversation back to Lawrence, because I really want to inspire Lawrence. That's the goal. So what advice would you have for the youth, or just anybody getting into barbering, to get started, while they're in it, to keep them going? What advice would you have for them?
This advice that I'm gonna give you, if you've had a haircut by me in Lawrence, in LA, Miami, New York, Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, you already know what I'm talking about. My experience as a barber and your experience as a client is, when you sit down on my chair, I try and inspire you. I have a lot of clientele that are thugs, that are gangbangers, that are doctors, that are police officers, firefighters, anything you could think of. But my thing is to try and inspire people to get out of, to once again go back to get out of the comfort zone, because we're all doing a lot of things out here. We're all making it in our own ways, whether you believe it or not. But sometimes we need a little extra push. For any young barbers that are out there and are trying to get inspired, feel free to give me a DM, text message, Facebook message, whatever. But what I tell you guys is, be in the barbershop at all times. I don't care how busy, I don't care how slow it is. The more that customers see you in the barbershop, whether you're sitting down or always working or always talking to people,
The more comfortable they are.
The more comfortable they're going to be. Now, if I wasn't available, they're going to feel more comfortable with getting to you because you're always at the barbershop. If you're not at the barbershop, how can I trust you?
Exactly.
So, for any upcoming barbers, for any clientele, always, once again, be consistent. But if you're a barber, continue being at the barbershop. If you're not doing anything, don't sit down. Always be behind the chair, waiting attentively. Yo, you're gonna get a haircut? No? Alright, no problem, man. You want something to drink? No? Alright, no problem. Have a seat, man. We'll be right with you in a few minutes. Always have customer service be A1. If it's not A1, you will not.
So you feel like customer service is what will lead you to becoming that barber if you don't have the clientele?
Yep. When I first started, you think I was booked up every day?
Nah.
Bro, I used to see people, I used to make $100 a week. $100 a week.
Damn.
And I thought I was chilling. I was like, yo, I'm making $100 a week.
I mean, you had no bills though.
I had no bills. You know what I mean? Now I had over $150,000 in debt. So I'm just like, but I had a 6-month grace period. So I was like, all right, you know, $100 a week right now. You know, I'm chilling. But the more I started being present at the barbershop, the more I started greeting people, the more people started saying, knowing me who I was as an individual. Now I wasn't just another barber in the barbershop. Now I was Winslow. My name was getting known. So when I walked into the barbershop, people would be like, hey, Winslow, how you doing today? And I'm like, oh, man, like, I don't even know your name, bro, but you know me. Like, that's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's cool.
And even still today, like, I still don't know everybody's name. But one thing that's unique about me is I was a straight-A student growing up. But if you ask me those questions about school now, I won't remember. But I know every single client that I've ever cut's haircut. If you sit down on my chair, you don't have to tell me what to get, what you want, or yo, you remember what I got 4 years ago? Like, I just know. It's
part of the experience.
It's just part of the experience. Once you sit down the first time, whether you come back 2 or 3 or 4 years later, I will always remember your haircut.
Dope.
And there's not a lot of people that can do that. There's always people are always high. They're always on
drunk, drinking,
or under the influence, and they're just like, yo, what do you want, bro? ¿Qué lo que tú quieres, tiguerazo? You know what I'm saying?
But that kind of just shows that you take your craft more serious than others.
Yeah. And that's another way that I set myself apart from everybody else. People could just tell in my eyes that, yo, this dude was really about his stuff. Like, nowadays, I don't even have to talk. People don't even ask me, oh, you know how to cut hair? When I have a new barber coming to, a new client coming to me, people just know. Like, I don't know what it is about me, but I just glow when I'm at a barbershop.
It could be your work. It could be your Instagram. They could have seen you on social media. It could be word of mouth, which is my personal opinion. Word of mouth is something that can never be overlooked. Word of mouth is, if you're good at what you do and you're from a specific community, people are gonna know who you are.
Fact.
That's my personal opinion. Whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it's barbering, whether it's anything, word of mouth, bro. That's why you always have to treat people with respect, and you have to be good at what you do. Because once you treat somebody with that care and that respect, they're gonna go and tell their friend, yo, this guy's fire. This guy's the truth. And what that friend is gonna do, he's gonna look you up and look at you, and then go tell his other boy that you're the truth.
No,
So it's like, people think that just because you're good at what you do, you could treat people no matter what way you want. And I feel like that's not right.
that is
You really have to like treat people with respect and be humble. A lot of people aren't humble. I feel like that's what might be holding our community back in Lawrence, but I don't know. It's a big debate. What do you think is holding back our community besides the lack of support? The individuals that aspire to be better than the street life, what do you think is holding them back?
No, what I think is I think we need more. I don't know how much things are out here now. Support groups, but support groups is huge. I think one of the things that helped me grow more as an individual throughout college, because I will tell you the truth, in college I did have a point in time where I started getting bad grades because I started partying more. There's this place called Hood House at UNH that they sat me down and they're just like, yo, what's up with your grades? Like, I'm gonna get you a tutor and this and that. In Lawrence, I don't know how much support group there is, but I think that if we have more support groups that will help individuals achieve more success or open up their mindset, I think it's gonna help benefit the community a lot.
So
more.
basically, having more mentors in the community can have a positive effect on our community.
And just stop thinking that you're the best. Like, you're not the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've seen that a lot. I didn't go to school out here, but I've seen a lot of people's attitudes, and I just want people to know that there's bigger and better things to do in this world. Lawrence is a 7 mile radius, and it's not the only thing in this world. There's a big world out there. Instead of doing things that aren't gonna help you grow in life, try and seek things like traveling and
try to expand your mind, expand your vision.
Yeah, expand the vision. It's not Lawrence isn't everything. Try and expand.
There's
the
more
vision.
things to life than Lawrence.
Right. Lawrence, Boston, New York.
Connect with different people, expand your mind, become more creative, put yourself in situations where you wouldn't normally be. I feel like a lot of people, they like to stay in the same areas. They like to stay stuck because that's where they're comfortable. Like you were saying earlier, it's like you got to get out of your comfort zone to actually elevate. Who would have known that a barber from Lawrence would have went to LA and is now cutting celebrity clients? That's amazing. That's commendable. And I think a lot of people can learn from your journey. That's why I actually got you on the podcast. Because I really believe that that's rare. A lot of people that I know from Lawrence that are barbers, that's all they know is Lawrence people, Lawrence barbers, but they don't have aspirations to be anything bigger than working on Broadway to cut hair. You get what I'm trying to say? So the fact that you really left your family, went out to a different state, sacrificed your living situation is really commendable, bro.
Thank you.
And I really believe that this interview, your story, your journey is going to inspire a lot of people from Lawrence to actually, I'm not telling you to leave Lawrence, but to actually get out and grow and then come back to Lawrence and then help out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Never forget where you came from at the end of the day. I mean, like I said earlier, no matter how big I get or whatever happens, I will always be from a 978. Yo soy dominicano. I don't ever forget my roots. Don't ever forget where you came from. The only thing I can not say when I go out somewhere else is that I'm from Lawrence. A lot of people don't know where Lawrence is. So what I tell people is, do you know who Nicky Jam is? And people are like, oh yeah, I know who Nicky Jam is. And I'm like, well, if you've seen his movie, I'm from where he grew up. That's what I tell people. But if people haven't seen the movie, I say I'm from Boston.
Exactly.
And so a lot of people don't like when I say, oh, aren't you proud of saying that you're from Lawrence? It ain't that. It's just that nobody knows what Lawrence is because we don't have a big name on the map. So I just say I'm from Boston, and if you're from Massachusetts, I tell them I'm from Lawrence. Then we have a topic of conversation to talk about now. So,
and that's why I'm trying to put Lawrence on the map. That's the goal. I'm trying to make it so that we go to different states. You can go to a different country, and you say Lawrence, and people are like, it's not Boston, it's Lawrence. It's its own identity.
And I want to put that out, man. I mean, if somebody ever writes a Wikipedia on me, I don't want people to put me, I'm from Boston, I'm from Lawrence, you know what I mean? But I do represent my city in every way that I can. When people ask me if they know where Massachusetts is, I say Lawrence. Lawrence has a bad rep, though. When people know what Lawrence is, like, oh, I know what Lawrence is. And then I'm like, how do you know what Lawrence is? And they always say because of the bad stuff.
I feel like that's because of the media.
It's because of the media. Media is terrible. News, everything. I even tell my mom with the coronavirus going on, I'm like, yo, stop watching the news media. Oh my God, are you okay in LA? I'm all right, Mom. Thank you for asking. I appreciate it. But stop watching the news because you're going to drive yourself crazy. Lawrence has so many great things happening out here, but we are overlooked by all the bad. It's not even all the bad. It's just 1 or 2 or 3 bad things. And 100 great things, but these 3 bad things are overshadowing the 100
because
great things that we're
negativity
doing.
sells, bro. Nobody really, I'm not going to say nobody, but people love watching drama. People love watching negativity. And people love watching, negativity. So when somebody says, oh, coronavirus, whatever is tied to coronavirus is negative, always. There's nothing positive about coronavirus. It's a pandemic.
Yep,
we literally shut down, like, the country for so long, and other countries got shut down. So it's like, that's what attracts, it's sad to say, but that's what attracts people, and that's what makes people listen. The negative. The positive, yeah, but it's more the negative that makes people listen. But enough about that. I'm going to move on to the game. So the game is called Say That. And I don't know if you're familiar, but I'm going to say a word or a phrase. And for the phrase, you're going to give me a brief description of what I asked. And for the word, you're just going to say a 1-word answer that comes to your mind. You got it?
Okay, so for
the phrase, you give me a brief description of the question. So I'll ask you something, and then you'll give me a brief description. And then for the word, you give me just a word back as a response. You got it?
Yeah. I think I do. Let's see what's up, though.
All right. So if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Read minds. Why would I read minds? Because, I mean, barbering isn't all I do. I wish I could read everybody's minds, but a lot of people tell me that I make people mad. Like, if I'm just having a conversation with you, things that I think are normal to me, people are like, oh, you make me mad.
All right.
So
right there. Cut it there. Breathe. Your favorite thing to eat?
Plátanos.
What comes first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken.
Why the chicken?
Because without a chicken, there's no egg.
But without the egg. So you said without the chicken, there's no egg?
But somebody must have made the egg before the chicken.
Exactly. So you still think the chicken comes first?
Yeah. How did Adam and Eve come here?
You tell me. You asked the question.
There you go. There you go.
What does that have to do with the chicken and the
There
egg,
you
though?
go. Because how was humans created? Who made Adam and Eve?
God.
Okay. Who made God?
Nobody. God is the creator of all things.
So so what?
But anyway.
I don't even know.
Alright. Lawrence.
The best city in the world.
Passion.
What you love to do.
Confidence.
Believe in yourself.
Patience.
It takes time.
Community.
Come together as one.
BarberWinz.
Humble individual who loves what he does and is very passionate behind everything that he says and does.
That was the longest answer out of all the questions. Look how humble this guy. No, I'm joking. BastienDRÜP.
If you ain't following BastienDRÜP Experience Podcast, make sure you follow it because this is where you get the best drip experience.
It's BastienDRÜP, the flies in the city.
And this is BarberWinz, changing the way you look at barbering one haircut at a time.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel
Subscribe.
at BastienDRÜP TV, and follow at BarberWinz on Instagram, at BastienDRÜP on Instagram. And we out.